Hello and welcome to day 10 of 30 Until 30. We are a third of the way through, which is crazy because I wasn't sure if we would even make it this far. So yay for that, feeling excited, and I hope you're enjoying these daily videos. I was doing my shadow work journaling for the day, and today's prompt was about social interactions. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about how glaucoma impacts my social interactions and the unique challenges that I experience because of being blind. The biggest challenge that I experience socially is the fact that I am perceived as somebody who is fully sighted. I don't have a cane, I don't have a seeing eye dog, I hardly even wear glasses. So nothing about the way I present myself indicates that I'm blind. And so I experience a lot of awkward interactions, awkward moments because people are not aware that I am blind. So there are cues and there are moments that I'm missing and the other person doesn't know why. I've had a number of interactions where I may not be looking directly at the person who's talking to me because if somebody is trying to get my attention and they're 20, 30 feet away, I have a really hard time being able to see them in the distance. And so trying to orient their sound to the location is really challenging. I have a really hard time recognizing faces. And so even if you're my best friend, even if you're somebody that I know, if I run into you out in public, I am almost 100% likely not going to realize if you're at the same restaurant or the gym or at the park. And I have a lot of moments where people come up to me and are like, hey, and I know they can see like the wheels turning in my head of like, who is this person that I'm looking at, trying to identify them. And I feel really frustrated because I want to be that person who walks into a room and is like, oh, hey, nice to see you again, and hey to you, and, build those relationships and have that connection with people. And I miss out on it a lot because I cannot see who I'm in the room with. And so if they don't initiate that point of connection, then it's just not going to happen. I can remember having a hard time in my 20s when trying to make new friends, especially when I went off to college and I chose a small college campus so that it felt less intimidating to navigate and to walk to all my classes and things. And because the campus was so small, everything, all the extra activities were off campus. So I wasn't anticipating that obstacle. So when I was in college trying to get involved, trying to branch out, meet people, I often did not have a ride or a way to go to these social engagements. And I felt so isolated my first semester of college. I remember going to these I went to a bonfire and it was so dark outside. I couldn't recognize anybody there. So I just sat there alone and then eventually walked back to my dorm. And I spent a lot of time alone in my dorm room because I really struggled to go out and navigate the campus in a way that was effective for building those social relationships. I remember one of the first people that I met there, I had arranged with them to meet up with them on campus and they told me to meet at one spot. So I went to that spot. Then they're way over there at this other spot. I can't see that. So I'm awkwardly just like standing around texting them like, where are you? I'm here. And they're like, yeah, I'm here. And truthfully, after that moment, we were kind of off to the wrong foot. And they quit investing in the relationship with me. And I always wonder like, oh, is it because I was so awkward in this moment? There was a time in college when we were in the cafeteria and I got my food and everybody else went and got their food and they all went and sat down. I go and look at the sea of tables and now I can't find my friends. So I just went and sat alone and ate, sort of hoping maybe they would see me and come up and be like, oh, hey, sorry, yeah, we sat over here. And it's like the first week of college, you don't know anyone, no one really knows me. And so again, I felt so isolated and eventually I did transfer home because I really struggled to cultivate those social interactions. I know I've struggled a lot with my own self-concept and my own sense of self in social settings because I can't avoid being awkward. I can't avoid being disoriented and confused and unsure. And so I can't bring in confidence into social settings that I want to. And I also do feel like I'm a confident person and I enjoy talking to people. I'm a people person. And so I really struggle with the way that glaucoma hinders me in being able to be that like social butterfly that I want to be. Not being able to drive has made it so hard to show up for people in the way that I wanted to. And I know I could have cultivated more meaningful relationships if I had the accessibility to show up to the things that I was getting invited to go to those places with coworkers after work. But when every single ride that I need has to be coordinated and planned and dependent on someone, there are just times that the option is for me not to participate. And so I do have to say yes to fewer things because I'm not fully in control of getting myself to all of those things. So my involvement means it's at least one other person's involvement. And although that has in many ways fostered connection, and I've learned I have to connect and depend on people, which is a really good problem to have. Also, that dependence does weigh on people, and it has impacted my relationships where people don't want to have to carry that burden of being responsible for those extra things that I need. I also want to mention that I was in high school and early college at a time when social media was hitting the scene and everybody's on in the comparison of followers and likes. And there definitely was a negative impact that it had on my sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, because I wasn't involved in as many things. So I'm not creating those relationships and multiplying my social circles in the ways that the people around me were. But then I had like material numbers to show, oh, I have less friends than my friends. I am less liked than the people around me. And realizing that a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was not in traditional work environments and social settings that allowed for me to expand. And even the use of social media and apps, visually for me at this point, I don't engage a lot on social media because it can be very tiring for me to try to read and navigate apps like that. And so in trying to rest my eyes, I'm also losing those little moments of social connection that come so easily for others. So my blindness definitely impacts my social interactions from so many different angles, and I know that I have felt beyond frustrated in trying to navigate all of it. And as I'm getting close to turning 30, I am truly blessed with the best community. I have such a good support system of friends and family. I am not lacking at all when it comes to my social support and my support system. So I have felt frustrated and angry and sad and left out and isolated so many times because of the way in which glaucoma and being blind impacts me. And I also feel so loved and accepted and empowered by the people in my life now that I seriously just could not be more grateful for the people in my life. You know, I can make do, and I've learned to accept the hindrances that glaucoma puts on my social life, and I'm very blessed. And so I wanted to share this because I thought it might be helpful and relatable for those of you who are also visually impaired. And if you have also felt frustrated and held back, just know you're not alone. That is the whole reason I started making YouTube videos in the first place, is because while everybody else was out living life, I'm stuck at home feeling isolated, and making videos was a way for me to reach out and find community, especially in something that I often do feel alone in. And I do know I'm not alone in this. And so maybe you're listening to this and relating. If you are, leave a comment, start some conversation. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.